back. The inquiry into suspended South Gauteng Director of Public Prosecutions, Advocate Andrew Chauke's fitness to hold office has been extended until June. Justice Besson Kabinde announced that President Cyril Ramaphosa has signed an extension granting 5 additional months. The inquiry, which was set to end this month, has faced several setbacks. It includes outgoing NPA head Shamila Batoy's refusal to testify without legal counsel. The Kabinde inquiry is investigating allegations that Chauke made questionable prosecutorial decisions. Let's get some analysis from lecturer in criminal law at the University of KwaZulu-Natal, Dr Suhayfa Bhamjee. Dr. Bhamjee, good to have you on the program this evening. Let's get the big picture first. What does the collapse of key witnesses in the Chauke inquiry say, especially about the health and credibility of internal accountability processes, especially within the NPA?
Thanks, Ntransha, and thanks for having me. Yeah, that's a great question to ask. I mean, what does it say about trust and accountability? I think it also says a lot, perhaps, about fear. The reasons given by the 2 witnesses that had pulled out or withdrawn at the last televising of the hearing seemed rather thin to me and not convincing. And now we see that Advocate Noku has now agreed to come back and give testimony. But we must ask, and I think it's worth probing, why pull out? And maybe they took their cue from the fact that Shamila Batoy walked out. Yeah.
So Shamila Batoy was instrumental, especially in establishing this inquiry. Yet she later walked out, like you say, and now even refuses to testify without private or state-funded legal representation. Let's speak about this. How damaging is this contradiction to her legacy, really, as the National Director of Public Prosecutions?
Yeah, look, for me, and certainly I think for a number of other commentators, it does speak or doesn't reflect a positive light. I mean, we're all saying she walked out. In her address today, she began by saying, "I didn't walk out." Well, technically, maybe she didn't walk out, but she did refuse to walk back in when they adjourned for lunch. So just to be a bit crass. But it is critical, because what does it mean if you're the main complainant, for want of a better word, in a particular matter, and then you're not prepared to continue with testimony, or you're only prepared to continue with certain conditions? It is problematic. I mean, we see that there are more and more in all of these various inquiries that are coming to play and playing out in front of our eyes on all of the TV channels and streaming media, that more and more witnesses are now trying to get the commissions, etc., to pander to their wishes. Which was it now? My memory fails, even though it's only been a few days. Wanted security. Parliament said, yes, for the parliamentary, we'll give you security. No, I want to use my own security, and you must fit the bill. Was it Brown Makosi, perhaps? But I can't quite remember right now, but this was yesterday. It's worrying that these strategies are used to put pressure on for certain particular demands. So it seems to be playing out throughout all of these various commissions that are coming to play. But most troubling, of course, is Shamila Batoy walking out as she did. But today she said she has every intention of cooperating, I suppose. That's how I interpreted it. But let's see when the day arrives whether she will come forward and get back and resume testimony.
Yeah. With that said, from a legal standpoint, was Batoy entitled to even walk out mid-cross-examination? And what precedent does this set for future commissions or even disciplinary inquiries?
Well, we don't have to ask what precedent it sets for the future. We can actually look at the past. And we think about the Zondo Commission and Jacob Zuma, etc.'s not the Zondo Commission. Were Jacob Zuma's participation and refusal to return. He also refused to return at some point to the commission, and we saw that there were serious repercussions in that respect. More serious in that sense because there was a demonstrated history, essentially, of non-compliance. But it doesn't mean that it can't go that way. A commission might not be a court of inquiry, but when you look at the formation documents and the powers essentially given to any particular commission, the point is to fact find, to draw out, and it does rely and require that the persons involved come forward and give their testimony. Now, Shamila Batoy was not just one of the witnesses or one of the people that will come to support the major formation of the case. She was the one who instituted this.
Right.
So if the person who's making the complaint doesn't want to, how does the support help when there's nothing there as a foundation to support? It's troubling.
Yeah, it's troubling. But Dr. Bhamjee, also the Solicitor General and Justice Minister have refused to fund Batoy's private legal team. Is that decision legally sound, or does it risk even undermining the inquiry further?
I don't think it's not sound. The way I understand it, no one is saying that she can't have legal representation, just that the state won't pay for it or won't fund it. I mean, we've seen, so, when you're indigent, everyone has the right to an attorney, and if you can't afford one, the state will pay for one for you. We understand that from TV, but that principle applies in South African law as well, the Miranda rights and the Miranda principles. But we saw that where there were persons who claimed to be indigent, and the means analysis, etc., even those people who had their assets, etc., frozen and claimed to have not be able to afford an attorney, the courts have ruled that no, we're not affording you, we're not paying for you to have legal representation outside. You must actually, then in that case, you must go and fund your own lawyer. The state wouldn't even provide them with state-provided counsel. So I think there's something to be said that there doesn't appear to be an objection to her getting some sort of legal representation, the rider being that it should be from within the state's resources available within the NPA. But let's see. I mean, as of today, pretty much, Shamila Batoy isn't the head of the NPA anymore. Maybe that conflict of interest has resolved or been removed, essentially. We'll see. Maybe incoming National Director Andy Motibi might have a different spin on things.
Right. Also interesting.
It's just that the funding creates a pretty dangerous precedent moving forward.
Yeah. Also interesting were remarks made by Advocate Tembeka Ngubetobi, who argued that Batoy should not be rewarded for what he calls a delinquent conduct. Do you agree that the inquiry risks being held hostage by a key witness here?
Yeah, I think it does. I mean, again, it goes out to, well, is the key witness making demands? And that's it. I won't carry on further unless. That's what it is. And look, I think the Commission of Inquiry will probably, they've been given the 6-month extension. I think if you go back to what the earlier question was about, the reputation of the institution, but also the reputation of and confidence in Shamila Batoy as an individual, can only really be clawed back or brought back if she presents herself earnestly and doesn't rely on these sort of stalling mechanisms just to draw the process out even more. We're not saying that there isn't a rights aspect to it, but we cannot divorce the fact from the fact that Shamila Batoy was essentially the key complainant in this matter, not just a witness that is being subpoenaed or forced to come and give testimony. She initiated this process.
Yeah. Let's unpack another layer to this. Several witnesses linked to the Kato Mano and Boysen matters have either withdrawn or gone silent. What are the common reasons from your experience where witnesses retreat in high-stakes prosecutorial inquiries like this one that we're seeing?
Well, look, witnesses withdraw even in low stakes inquiry, and that happens. And there's a number of reasons. It's not possible really to conjecture or speculate, but from the low stakes cases, it could be that, certainly when you deal with things like domestic violence and stuff like that, the complainants in those cases or even the witness in those cases family pressure, community pressure, whatever it is, to withdraw, or financial reasons if they proceed with the matter, if they give particular evidence, if they proceed with their complaint, there's ostracization, cutoff of financial resources. So unless we get a political analyst involved to ask the deeper question about why these high-ranking witnesses in a high-profile matter are withdrawing, and maybe even some sort of psychological assessment and that sort of thing, to gauge what's going on. There's no way to answer that question unless someone says, hi, my name is, and this is why I'm not giving testimony, in an earnest way. I don't think we'd be able to guess what that is. Or maybe we can, but
or maybe we can. Let's stay with that theme. The inquiry also revisits deeply contested cases involving Johan Boysen, the Kato Mana unit, but also Richard Mdluli. Why do these cases then continue to haunt the NPA more than a decade later?
Yeah, so that's the big question. I think it was because of the prosecutorial and what's the word, like when you stagnated, or inertia. And when, again, if you start thinking about things like infiltration, about influence, about interference, what is it that prevented these matters from proceeding or moving along? Investigation, perhaps, and then that's where all of these other commissions that are going on sort of in parallel and alongside each other start to seem to intersect. So then we start talking, you have to think about what's going on in SAPS, what's going on at the SIU, what's going on in Parliament, what's going on in the NPA. All of these, they're not, as much as they are standalone entities, I suppose, they do actually intersect because each one requires or relies on the work done and the support of the other. And it's not just a particular individual, it's a number of individuals in these organizations or bodies that must be working together at various different levels. So that's the long and yet short answer to why things haven't progressed.
Yeah. As we wrap, Dr. Bhamjee, with Andy Mothibi set to take office as the new NPA head, I mean, he's the new sheriff in town now. Does this transition in leadership then complicate matters of conflict of interest, especially, and institutional continuity in this inquiry? Are we seeing things continue as they are?
I think Andy Mothibi will probably take ownership of this process in that he can deal with administrative issues related to the inquiry. But as far as what is this person, who is accountable for what in the space that this inquiry is being, and the frame of this particular inquiry, it will still have to come down to the individual actors and the persons involved, which for our present purposes means Shamila Batoy and her version of events and how that stands up to the examination and compares with what any of the other witnesses, if they do turn up, have to say. But as far as Andy Mothibi is concerned, he's just sort of now the administrative head of this process, essentially. He'll have his own burden to bear for what he takes under his wing and what he proceeds with. I mean, he will also now become responsible for all of these incomplete matters and unfinished matters and unsettled matters. But as far as the subject matter of the particular inquiry, of the complaint brought by Shamila Batoy, it's the people in that particular time frame, including herself, that have to give account for what happened and when it happened and how it happened.
Dr. Suhayfa Bhamjee, thank you so much for your time and